Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Inside the Circle podcast. Today we're going to have a look back and recap of Day 3's group games.
And welcome everybody back to an Inside the Circle podcast. Today it is Day 3 and we're recapping it. I've been joined once again by Alan. Now Alan, you were in Paris again today. What happened?
Yes, very, very warm today. I went round to the Bercy Stadium, which is going to host the gymnastics and basketball. It's a bit of a pyramid with the top cut off. It's a really strange building, but very nice. But they are telling us tomorrow the weather is to be the hottest day so far.
Holy smoke. And today was hot. I was saying there at the hockey, it was about 30 degrees, even at about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely. It was a hot one.
Holy smoke. Well, I would say it was probably a hot one for the games throughout the day as well, really. The day sort of started off, I think, quite well with the Ireland and Australia game. It ended up being 2-1 to Australia. It was another really close game. Again, the possession stats are 45-55 in favour of Australia. It was really the Australian speed of attack that I think took me off guard. I thought they just were playing really fast, impressive hockey. Australia scored first. It was a penalty corner. It was an initial flick from Glovers, but it was a rebound that got the goal for them. Ireland showed a good chunk of sort of promising attacks. Defensively, Australia just kept them in their pocket, really, for a good chunk. Now, it did mean Ireland equalised. It was a short corner once again, and Lee Cole got a quite impressive drag flick. Yeah. He got really it right to that bottom corner. It was really, really good to see. And I thought, well, here we've got a really interesting game now on our hands. I think Davy Hart did fantastically once again.
Superb.
Kept them in the game completely with, penalty corner wise, Australia had 8 and they only scored 1. So Davy Hart and the postmen actually did really well on that. Unfortunately, Australia did get the second goal. It came from a stroke. It was a foot on the line from the Irish guy, and Blake Glover's it was a rocket of a penalty stroke, to be honest.
I think we need to change penalty strokes. It's
just keeper biased.
But it's true. I think either we go back to a static flick or just scrap it and go with the run-ins and cause a little bit more excitement. Now the problem is they'll say, "Oh, it's too difficult to set up and everything else," but no. We could do something. I think it's just
do something.
It's just everybody's got so good at it. It's a foregone conclusion, and maybe that's the way it's meant to be. Well, then just give a penalty goal. But
true.
On the goalie side every time.
Absolutely. There was huge effort put in by the two teams, Australia and Ireland. As soon as the final whistle went, it was like a battlefield out there. There was bodies strewn everywhere. Now again, it's a mix of the heat and a mix of just the sheer effort that both teams put in. I think Australia gained a little bit of respect for the Irish guys for that game because they really kept them, they kept them sort of respectable throughout that game on what was happening through the threats. Probably a little bit different for the next game that you were watching, the Japan-China.
Yeah. We built this up as a key match for both of these teams. We felt it was the crunch match that might get one of the teams up, but China scored 5. They only had 48% of the possession, Japan 52. But circle penetrations, China 33 compared to Japan 8. So China's first goal, penalty corner. Second goal was a pretty scrappy back post, scramble in. Their third goal was controversial enough. I mean, she hit it. They hit the ball as she hit the top of the circle. They thought it was outside. They reviewed it. It was inside. Goal stood. The fourth one was a drag flick that sort of took a deflection and just looped over the goalkeeper and then one of those slow motion things. And then the fifth one was another drag flick, which was an absolute rocket. But the Japanese goalkeeper played well, so had made some good saves. Looked really strange in some Griffin goalkeeping foam, but good to see the revival in that. Maybe it was end-to-end stuff. What you would expect from both of these teams and the style that they play. It was fast, it was furious, but China had it the whole way through. There was no real issues with it at all, really. You could sort of see Alison and Anne's sort of coaching style starting to come in with the Dutch emphasis
Style
on
of play.
yeah, absolutely. And it was good to see a nice bright yellow team kit against that blue pitch. It was good to see.
Absolutely.
You then had an enjoyable India Argentina match.
Yeah, ended up 1-1. It was an interesting game for a whole range of things. It was a very fast-paced game, really fast-paced game. It was end-to-end stuff throughout. Initially at the start, Indy hit this. One of the Indian players hit this fantastic reverse hit just on an acute angle and hit off the crossbar, almost killed the umpire. It was one of those ping off the crossbar, and umpire had to get out of the way quite quickly. So that started off the game quite nicely. The defensive duties from the Argentinian defenders and the goalkeeper was top class throughout the game. I have to put that forward. They definitely probably kept Argentina at a good standard of play throughout. Argentina scored first. It was a mishit from the attacker, but because of that, it bobbled and was quite an awkward pace. So actually, the Indian goalkeeper Srijesh just mistimed it.
Oh,
he was going for the faster ball, and it just bobbled underneath. It was completely against the run of play. So it was. Quite shortly after that, Argentina won a stroke, and I thought, right, here we go. This is another easy one, similar to the previous game. He completely missed the goal, so he did
totally
just
wide,
criminal wide. He sent the keeper the wrong way, missed the goal completely.
And there's me saying, we need to change it.
Absolutely.
What do I know?
Keeper. That's a keeper mentality.
I'll take that as a save every day.
Yeah, absolutely. You do. The penalty corners for both teams just were not working. Really interesting stat for the Indians. They had 10 short corner attempts throughout that game and only scored one.
Right.
And it came in the last quarter when Harmanpreet, it was a rocket of a short corner. A great drag flick, hit the side roof netting, really impressive. But it all came down to just the Argentinian defense and the keeper kept them in that game. Simon probably said it right again in the sort of preview episodes that if India are not scoring their short corners, they really struggle to score an open play. And I think that statistic of 1 in 10 attempts definitely sort of highlights
shows that. Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of 1-1 sort of games, your next one, the Spain USA, ended up 1-1, I believe.
Yeah. Spain USA women 1-1. Spain 55%, USA 45%. Circle penetrations for Spain 15 to USA's 10. And then stuff again, but pretty scrappy really. It was just a bit scrappy on it. I think it didn't really work for both teams at the start of the match. Spain then got a penalty corner. USA saved it off the line, went straight up the pitch, and scored. Gladiato scoring at the far end, which maybe a bit against the run of play, but that was it. Then the Spanish leveled the game via Garcia with a first time hit in the circle, just a real cracking shot. The game went back and forth, and there just didn't seem to be any life to it. There didn't seem to be any real will to score. The US keeper, Kelsey Bing, had an absolute blinder. Spain had 13 penalty corners and scored nothing.
Wow.
And that just sort of set the tone of the game. But, Kelsey, she played well. She made some really good saves, but there was nothing there. Both teams had chances, and at the end of the game again with that heat, they left everything out on the pitch. Really, another goalkeeper we're praising.
Yes, absolutely. It seems to be a theme throughout these games. Don't know if it's you or what.
So, what did you have then?
I then had the thrilling GB Australia game. It was on paper, if you were to look at it, with the possession of 48-52 for Australia, and circle penetrations were 19 and 20, 20 for Australia and 19 for GB, it ended up being a trouncing of 4-0 to Australia. It was a masterclass on how to play hockey from the Australians, how to pressure, how to put serious pressure on defenders, and it was they almost didn't give GB a chance to breathe, and it probably a mix of that and the fact that GB came out really trying to prove themselves with a bit of fire, to show that actually yesterday's result was a fluke. They can win games, and I think that sort of fired them up. I think that was actually potentially their downfall. I think they got themselves almost overhyped for it, sort of frustrated quite quickly. And it was end to end because of that. You know, it was the GB guys were getting a few chances up high. The Australian girls came back, and it was quite tight. However, GB in the 2 games so far have had 19 short corners, and I've only scored 1. Which
something wrong there.
There's something wrong there, absolutely. And really because of that, Australia got the first goal in very quickly. It was again a penalty corner. It was followed up from a rebound from Grenier. It was really impressive. Australia then scored a fantastic goal. It was a flick from the halfway line, probably to the flick spot. GB keeper came out, palmed it down, and it fell pretty much right at the feet of an Australian girl and played the ball in. It was a great goal. It was a good reacted goal as the ball came bouncing at her. And GB did check it, thinking it was it was within that 5 meter rule.
Yeah.
It was because of that they lost their referral quite early on. Just per GB defense, sort of, I would say throughout that game, they really struggled at times to get the ball out from headouts and frees and things, but that was down to the Australian pressure just being high on top of players, being really smothering on them. And because of that, it looked like they wanted it more. That's as simple as that. They wanted it more in a composed way, while the GB girls wanted it in quite a frantic way. I think it's quite a good contrast between the 2 teams. Australia won a stroke from a really bad defensive tackle. It was like cutting down a tree. That was scored by one of the Stewarts. Australia looked really dangerous after they scored goals throughout the game. Like, it was a 5-minute real press from them to try and get another quick goal after that. It's then started to crumble for GB quite badly. At this point, there was a 5-minute yellow for just, again, it was a reckless, frustrated tackle. It was almost like a rugby tackle. She just charged into the Australian girl. Yeah. Australia then scored their 4th goal from Grace Stewart this time, who just placed the ball nicely under the goalkeeper. Really sort of sealed the deal on what was quite a frustrating game to watch from a GB. If you're a GB fan, it was quite a frustrating game to watch because there was moments of brilliance, but no matter what GB tried to do, Australia just had the answer for it. So they did. So that really leads a few questions in to see what they have to do for the next few games to see if they even get to the knockouts at this point.
I think they're going to struggle. They just, obviously it depends on the next set of matches, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
Having mentioned about the China's yellow kit, I actually like the red of the GB girls. It's a strong red.
It is.
It's not almost this wishy-washy. It's quite. Yeah. But you talked yesterday about the shorts. I bet. I think it looked. I think it looks really good. It looks sharp. So it does. And again, then on my last match in a couple of reviews time is the Dutch one. I don't know where they've got this orange from, but it is orange.
It is.
It is a luminous orange, and it
is indeed.
It really is strong. It's maybe just an Olympic thing or whatever, but yeah, looked quite good.
Absolutely.
I then had an interesting match with South Africa, Argentina women.
Brilliant.
Finished 4-2 to Argentina. With Argentina with 60% of the game. And most of that came in the first quarter. Argentina just attacked. South African keeper made some cracking saves in the first quarter. Then South Africa go up the far end of the pitch, get a penalty corner. Marie Lowe scores. It's 1-0 and totally against the run of play.
Right.
They come out in the second quarter, South Africa, and they start to sort of just seem like they were just slowly easing themselves into it. They sort of came up a bit more on the pitch. And the Argentina got a goal from a penalty corner to make it 1-1. I'm going to try this now. Golzalini scored it for Argentina.
Okay.
So Golzalini, got to remember that because she does get a hat trick in the game.
Fair play.
So then just before halftime, South Africa then get another penalty corner deflection and. Kalina de Waal scores to make it 2-1. So South Africa go in 2-1, and really, you're going, this could be dangerous.
Yes.
Third quarter, no real action. Argentina sort of keep going at it, and it's only in the fourth quarter that Golzalini scores 2 penalty corners within a minute to take it to 3-2. And again, I think South Africa were starting to run a bit of puff. They really were. And then an open play goal from Hangelis to make it 4-2. South Africa, they performed well. They have done better than we predicted, and they've probably done a lot better. I mean, they were never going to win this game. They were never going to win it.
But the fact they kept it probably as tight as they did.
Yeah. The Argentina played their usual fast-flowing game. Some really good aerials. We did talk about it. We did mention that. We're not seeing it from the women. This was the first time that I thought the aerials were really aggressive aerials into the circle, onto the edge of the circle from a distance. So there was a good bit more of that to be seen.
I noticed that in the few women's games that I watched again today, there was a lot more aerials today.
Yes, there was. But look, circle penetrations, South Africa 3 and Argentina 22. So it it was an interesting one.
Now, from a keeper's point of view, are those 3 circle entries because they've got up the pitch? Is that a lapse of concentration from the keeper, having done not much throughout the game? Or are they good goals?
To be honest, yeah.
They're a bit of both.
It's a bit of both. But, I can't even remember from what the Argentinian goalkeeper did. So it can be a lapse of concentration. That's where goalkeeping is such a mental game. Yeah. You could be playing, like the Dutch goalkeeper. She was, doing absolutely nothing, and the next minute you're involved in one of those low or high scoring matches. You're scoring lots of goals, and then the ball comes down, you let one in. Yeah, you can always point the finger and go, "Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that?" But generally, it's yourself as the goalkeeper mentally not probably being clued in.
Yeah, fair enough.
And going on to my next match, which was a local derby, Germany Netherlands women. I'm reluctant to tell you the score in it. I'll leave the score for a bit. Germany had 59% to the Netherlands 41%.
Right. Okay.
Both teams started the game such high intensity, it was unreal. I thought, and rightly so, they just didn't make it at the end. They just died off. But Netherlands scored or missed two reasonably easy shots on goal. So 0-0 after the first quarter. Second quarter, it was all Germany. For some reason, the Dutch sort of went, let's just stop this for a bit. Germany, 3 penalty corners. One of them was taken off the line by the Dutch girl on the post. Superb save. Really good. Good camera work. The camera was right behind it. And then Netherlands went up the far end straight away and hit the post. And the half ended 0-0 with Germany 61% to 39%.
The Dutch were under pressure for that first half then.
Yeah, I mean, Germany really came at them the second quarter. I think the first half was reasonably free-flowing. You were waiting for the goals to come. Nothing came. goalkeepers did bits and pieces, didn't make any major saves. Then the third quarter, Germany's Staffenhorst, she played superb. She was brilliant. She controlled everything else. She got a reverse stick shot and goal with 1 minute to go in the third quarter to make it 1-0. And she really controlled the game. Everything seemed to come through her. She attacked. She was strong. She was fearless. Going into the circle with some of the reverse stick shots. Fourth quarter, the Dutch absorbed so much pressure, and it was all one-way traffic. Germany were just going all the time. Now, the goalkeeper wasn't making too many saves, but with 10 minutes to go, the Dutch get their first corner. So after 50 minutes, they get their first penalty corner, and Javi Janssen just scores it to make it 1-1. Other than that, there's been nothing else. But then 3 minutes later, then scores to make it 2-1 in open play, and that's come from nowhere. So the Dutch are now leading 2-1, and that's how the game finished.
Wow. So it was them under the thumb for most of the game, and then they decided to almost play hockey in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was nearly like they just absorbed it. I was sort of going, it's like rope-a-dope. It was, hitting Ali all the time, and then he just comes back and goes, bang, you've knackered yourselves, and now we'll attack.
I'm now going to hit you.
The only thing is, the Dutch aren't scoring. Like, they scored 2 goals, 1 penalty corner, 1 open play, but they are still relying on Janssen to score goals.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. I mean, the German guys took the goalkeeper off for the last 4 minutes. The Dutch did nothing. They just sat, absorbed, knocked the ball up the pitch, and with like 20 seconds to go, they get a penalty corner. Now, no goalkeeper, and fair play to Victoria Husser, who was the goalkeeper, with an oot mask and a pair of gloves, and she made an unbelievable save.
Really?
To
Brilliant.
Put it around the post and game over. It just look, the Dutch are going to win this. It's just the way things are going. They're going to win this. Germany played superb. I thought they played really well, put them under pressure, but again, the Dutch just absorbed it. And as I said, Germany 59% to 41%, and we still lost 2-1.
I know, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it is.
You then had the last match of the day, Belgium.
I did. It was another local derby for the games. It was France and Belgium. It was another interesting game. Belgium beat France 5-0. So it was, again, possession stats would almost lie to you. France had 49% of the possession and Belgium had 51%. So on paper, it was a
tight
close
match.
game.
Mm-hmm.
You then look at the other stat of circle entries of France had 5. And any guess for the Belgians? Now, you said what Argentina had 21?
Yeah, so even I would say score 5 goals, probably 15 to 20.
15 to 20. I would say double that. It was 41. They had 41 circle entries.
But only scored 5 goals.
5 goals. The French goalkeeper did a brilliant job. So she did. She made a couple of mistakes, but again, she made a couple of mistakes having 41 attacking chances against her.
Yeah,
so
you'll take that.
You'll take that. Belgium just had early pressure on the French for quite a good chunk of the time. They got their first goal from a rebound, which was off a penalty corner. French keeper saved it. It was a rebound from Razier to get the goal. Look, France the whole game pretty much defended in their quarter. There was 11 people, the 10 outfielders and the keeper, effectively inside their D and between the D and the 25 line. So they were very deep throughout that game, wanting breakaway sort of chances. There was a couple of times they had meaningful attacking chances, but there was no end product for them. They just struggled to get that last wee bit. They scored the Belgians scored their second goal off, again, another rebounded finish. The French goalkeeper, another fantastic save. It was just the lack of the defenders there to clear the ball away, which happened a few times during the game. Third goal came from a lovely reverse hit from the top of the D. This was really the French goalkeeper's first sort of mistake. It sort of ended up catching her underneath her kicker, between her legs. It was an awkward place for the ball to have been. I think it was more a caught off guard because the French were trying to get the ball out of defence. It was a quick steal. She ended up with the ball, and then all of a sudden she's a reverse coming at her. That kind of thing. Really interesting, actually, throughout the game. It was really easy to notice the gold Griffin tour sticks. There was a couple of them floating about, and they have been the past couple of days as well.
Last couple of days, yes, definitely seen them. They do seem to be in a few hands on the pitch. It does, having seen it, when we saw it early in the end of the season to see what's coming next year, I thought, it's a bit, and gold for me is a bit. Yeah. But no, it's very nice. It looks well.
Very nice on the pitch.
Well on the pitch. And the Griffin's new graphical designs look top notch.
Much nicer. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Much, much nicer. This sort of led into the third quarter after half time. The French all of a sudden decided to wake up. They played a bit like Belgium did in the first half. Unfortunately, it only lasted about 7 minutes.
Right.
They went hard. It almost like they lost their legs a bit, but they hadn't, like I said before, there was no meaningful outcome for any of their sort of attacks, which is disappointing to see from their point of view. The Belgians then scored another penalty corner. It was a drag flick into the sideboards, really difficult to try and stop from any keeper's point of view. The fifth goal came actually after a Belgian was sent off for 10 minutes. I think this is the first 10-minute yellow for the females anyway.
Yeah, the men have had one.
It was a really weird one. It was right at the start of the fourth quarter, like only about 30 seconds had passed, and it was a hit off the ball from the Belgian on the French girl, but it sort of came out of nowhere. It was really weird, but she got a 10-minute yellow. But within that, the Belgians scored their fifth goal. It was again another follow-up save from another follow-up goal from a goalkeeper save. During that penalty corner, actually, one of the French defenders on the line got a green card because she wasn't in her penalty corner protective gear and behind the line within the 40 seconds.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
yeah.
I found that very interesting. I thought it was normally just a warning, which was back to the halfway.
Yeah, but green card.
Referee just went, no, green card, you're off. And it meant then, as well as being a player down for the last minute or so, they only had 3 people in for that defensive short corner, so it was difficult for them. It was the experience levels that I think were on show this game. I think Belgium absolutely showed their experience level in, was it 4th in the world at this point? They were playing really, really good, solid hockey. The French just lacked that experience. Yes, they've been playing a few more tournaments than they probably have been before, but it was that experience levels that I think Belgium just meant that they just dominated that game. And I will remind everyone that I did have them in my top 4.
Oh, you would?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
So all in all, it was another interesting. I know you had Spain. Actually, you could be on the money with that one as well. To be all in all, another interesting day of hockey. I think it was another interesting day of hockey. Good results all round for some teams. Some slightly more disappointing results for others. I would say really summed up the games. Few points that I picked up. I would say 95% of the players that are there are playing with a left-handed glove. Really interesting to see. I think there's been a concerted effort from players and even the countries themselves to basically go, we want you to wear these. It's preventing so many major hand injuries. So it is.
Didn't one of the Irish guys, he wasn't wearing one?
He wasn't wearing one on the first day, on that first game. He's got cracked in it. Now I don't know if it's broken, fractured, what the actual injury is, but because of that, they had to bring their reserve player in, Lynch, to play today. Okay. So if he was wearing one, it would have protected him.
Maybe
it would have done probably a good job of preventing something a bit more major happening. So I think it's
Well,
Yeah.
there was an incident in the Dutch Germany game in the women's. The German girl took the ball into the circle quite close, hit the ball in, but the ball came off what looked like the Dutch player's foot and hit her in the knee, so it came back. So it was and it would have given you that impression. They referred it. The South Africans referred it and won because it actually came off the knuckle part of her hand of the glove, and and she never even flinched. And therefore the protection works. I've seen one or two of the Mercian cage gloves, and that cage design. Like, I know last year they sort of came in, we had them for a bit, but the protection level on that is fantastic because of the air gap and the design of that cage. Now, I know that, like everything else, everybody will copy everyone else, but Mercian were the first with it, and it really is a good glove.
It is, because what a lot of gloves don't do is they don't actually protect the knuckles.
Yes.
They have the plastic bit at the top of the hand like this, plastic fingers, but then there's this gap here. But that cage design, which is the bit that actually you need protected. But that cage design comes over, but without restricting the movement of the hand. It's a really well done design.
It is a top notch glove. It really is. And we didn't buy that many of them, and then had to bring them. We had to bring them in because they were just a really good glove. You then talked about rebounds off the goalkeepers. I mean, it's something that the top end teams are probably doing more and more.
They are, and they're clearly it is being trained a lot with these guys. Like, I don't know how many times I've mentioned it. Certainly today alone, so many rebounds from a save from the keeper, and then the goal came from after that. It's something that the international guys are doing. They're doing brilliantly, and you can see that these goals are leading to wins for these teams. It's something that I believe lower end teams aren't doing quite a lot of the time. I think there's that perception of, they're having a shot on goal. Let them have the shot. The keeper saved it. We'll stand back and see where the ball lands. And then something might happen after that. But these guys, like, even I think on the first day when Australia played, Glover's, who's a drag flag expert, put the ball in. Keeper saved it. But because his momentum was going forward, he was still going to attack the ball. And because of that, got the ball inflicted in the roof of the net.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. I think at the lower level, probably players are more scared of the ball coming up and hitting them.
Probably.
And they're not practicing it. And it's also the same from a defensive point of view. Today, I noticed a lot more of corners of the goals empty, as in the what I would call the post person is not covering that post anymore. Haven't played for that length, that low, for quite a while, but it just seems an obvious one. And whether it's time to nearly go back and try and jiggle things about, I don't know. You're never going to know that, but
no, you're definitely not. The only other sort of point from today actually is we talked about coming into this game or coming into the games about the umpiring and sort of the standard and the video umpiring and how all that's happening. A brilliant example of how hockey is taking umpiring seriously and well is actually in the India-Argentina game. So there was an incident that aerial ball was thrown into the D for India. India threw it in. Attacker took it cleanly in the D. It came down. The umpire, I think, let play on. India reviewed it to go, but it was dangerous. There was an Argentinian guy within the 5 meters. It should be a short corner. Went up to video referral, and the umpire came back fairly quickly. And after a bit of looking, he came back and went, "Yes, India keep the referral. I am suggesting a penalty stroke. It was a level 1 offence. It's a penalty stroke because the video umpire deemed it that the Argentinian came into the space on purpose and made it dangerous." As soon as the stroke was mentioned, the 2 on-field umpires went, "Did you say stroke? Are you sure about that?" So they actually came together, had a chat amongst themselves, going, look, he's saying that I didn't see it as a level 1 offence. I saw it as a level 2 where he's more accidentally come into the space.
Yeah.
Natural movement meant then he came in within this sort of 5-meter radius around the player. I'm suggesting we're going to override this and give it a penalty corner. Now, they did that, and to be honest, there was no real argument from either team. India, I thought this was going to be a murder. From previous encounters with this sort of thing from that team, but there's nothing. They had a bit of a question, but then went, no, if that's how we've seen it, that's how we're playing it.
I think everybody's now is accepting referrals and discussions, and people make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And this is what I think I said this earlier. I mean, I still think that the third umpire should be more involved live than being asked to come on board, instead of going chirping someone's ear, going, that's a foot, and that type of thing.
I would agree, but this was the first time certainly the first time I remember seeing on-field umpires going against the suggestion of the video umpire. But it was good. Again, you can hear what they're saying. There's no sort of cloak and dagger about it. It's very open for everyone to see, and I think that's what's leading to the no arguments. The crowd is understanding what's happening. The people watching at home is understanding what's happening on the pitch, and I think it's only good for the game. It was really good to see that as well.
Good stuff.
That's it. That's the day summed up. That's one recap of day 3. I think that everyone will remember. Let us know in the comments below what you think your moment at day 3 was. And as always, please remember to like and subscribe so we can continue to do this throughout the games. And Alan, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's a bit late with you, but thank you.
No problem at all. Good to see you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.